All right.
There we go.
Yes, I'm recording. Sorry, I'm usually not good about recording until like way late, and then I'm like, crap.
It's all good.
So, it, what I like is you were pretty much at the beginning of my main recentering, which made me super happy because you are great people, which I will get into that in a minute. But or impactful. There you go. That's what I'm supposed to use the term impactful and not amazing or great because people get freaked out. So,
Freaked out. I love it. Okay.
um, so what I like when I came to the gym and met you for the first time, literally that's the first time I met Brad, first time I met you, first time I met Kyle, and what was so wonderful, it was that I had an idea from what I was fed, but I had an idea of what Maven was like and what Brad was like. And within 4 minutes of meeting Brad, I went, well, all that was wrong. I was like, what? And so what makes me really happy is when that was what this is, but this is just the way we can do it now. And
Hmm.
so what also is really cool is the connection, because people have more time and people are just eager and anxious to connect with people in any way they can.
Right.
Everybody's very available to take these. So when I ask anybody, I'm like, hey, do you want to do a Zoom? Yes. Like, okay.
Oh,
Um,
you want to plan a conversation? Okay. Let's go.
I love that because for
Hmm.
me, it was what was cool for me is that I was in practice before the quarantine started. I was in practice of doing this and in practice of just talking to people without an agenda and just basically saying, you know, you popped into my head and on my heart, so I wanted to reach out to you. And like for you in particular, the reason why I have so much gratitude and fondness and the reason why you impacted me so much is I was so available to God working through me on that day I met you that I talked to Brad and everything, and even though I had brought my workout stuff, normally I wouldn't have brought my workout stuff, but I remember thinking, oh, just bring it just in case. And I was like, okay, that's weird. That's gonna be kind of like, hi, I just met you. Can I work out at your gym for free? Is that cool? And so I went, whatever, so I brought it in the car, and then after the end of the conversation, Brad's like, I got to go take the kid to the little guy to the dentist and stuff. So, but if you want to work out, you can work out. And you guys hadn't started yet. And I'm like, no. And he went, well, really, it's okay. And I went, okay. And then I worked out, and I was just my normal self, reaching out and talking to you guys and supporting you guys. And then, at the end, when you came over, once again, it was, hey, open up. And I went, okay, I guess I'm opening up. And then you were sitting there telling me, you're like, well, that's cool because we're starting this thing on, was it March 1st or whatever? We're having this get together. And I went, are you kidding me? And
Dude,
to me, that was one of the times I was aware of God's sense of humor, because it was very much like I prayed, okay, so surround me with wonderful people. Once again, I didn't have that prayer because I wasn't smart enough to pray that because I'm limited. So I just prayed of, just guide me. And all of
hmm
a sudden here you pop up and Kyle pops up and other Brad pops up, and I went, really? And I just got so excited again, not just for working out, but a lot of stuff that you say, what makes me feel close to you is that when you say stuff, you verbalize the stuff I'm thinking, or you verbalize a lot of my why I was coaching in the first place and why I spent extra time with members, or why I, help coach and support people who while I'm working out, I'm talking to them and they're talking to me. Like, and so it was just wonderful to see your unabashed relationship with God and your excitement for your journey because I had just restarted my journey
Mhm.
And so, I can't remember who said it. I think it was Simon Sinek or something, but he said, motivation really is external, and inspiration is internal, motivation's external. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with getting motivation, because it's just like anything. It's what you do with it. Money's not good or bad. It's what you do with it. And
Mhm.
so when I connected with you, instantly I was like, oh, that dude's got to be in my life. Like, I was like, and that's it. And then I met your brother. I went, are you kidding me? Okay. And so, then coming into the classes and just being able to participate however I could, and just, coming to the Bible study was so wonderful and so exciting and so amazing. And then when the quarantine happened, almost immediately to see you giving back and to see you, like you say, being the hands and feet of God. Like, I love that saying, because you
Mhm.
literally were, okay, so here's what I guess I'm going to do. And, and then, your why is your mom, and, understanding we can't, I'm not going to learn to be an RN in the next 5 weeks, or I'm not going to be a respiratory therapist, or but that means that just means that, so I can live in that limitation, or I can find out okay, so then what can I do? What am I able to do? As opposed to, and that's my mindset for a long time was, well, I'm not that, or I can't that, or I'm not this, instead of that, because that's living on the fear side of limitation.
Mhm.
Okay, so there's an acknowledgement. I am not going to be able to be a RN in 5 weeks.
Just can't.
It's not going to work. It doesn't, like the state of Michigan and anybody who's sick should not let me do that. So I'm going to be like, but what I can do is blank. And so if I don't have the answers, that's the faith part of what if. And so that's where I started living. And what I like is, you don't necessarily have oh yeah, here's my 10-year plan right now. You're like, I know in 10 years, by me doing this today, it's going to be amazing.
Mhm.
And that's exactly where I am. And it's weird because, with some of the stuff starting to let up and everything, which I really do think we're probably going to end up coming back in. I really do. Whatever, even if it's in the fall, whatever, it doesn't matter, because outside situations aren't going to change me anymore, which is great, because I'm like, okay, so here's what I'm doing today. What is my faith what if? And
Mhm.
so I just am so drawn to where you are at your journey, which is, and how available you are to share that, because
Mm.
a lot of people are, well, everybody's on a journey. If you're alive, you're
Amen.
actually,
Amen.
you know what I mean? Like, if you're alive, you're on the journey. And it's a sliding scale, and some days it's sliding on the day, so that's okay.
Mhm.
But I was so immediately aware of my gratitude to be part of your journey currently. Does that make sense? Like,
Oh, totally.
it was,
And
go
Jeff,
ahead.
honestly, man, the way that you showed up and the way that things have unfolded, it's not only been obviously, like, you've been able to take something from it, but I've really taken a lot from it too. And just getting to know you and getting to see the way God's unfolding in your life has been so inspiring to me. And honestly, man, like from like 16 until last year, my whole mentality was like, I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to have the best plan. I'm going to have the best idea. I'm going to feel some sort of comfort or some sort of safety in this plan that I made, that I'm doing, that I'm executing. Um, and it honestly wasn't until this last August when I decided to finally get baptized, when I had a conversation with God, and I was like, dude, like, I've tried all this stuff. I've tried so many different things. I've poured my heart into situations, and I just still feel empty, and I still feel like I'm just not fulfilled. And I was honestly like dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts. And I took it to God, and I was like, bro, I'm done. I'm done, you know? So like at this point going forward, whatever my life is going to be or whatever it's going to become, this is you, man. Like this is yours. And it's still my biggest challenge. It's like, I got to get out of my own head sometimes. I got to get out of my own way. And it's just, you know, just thinking back to the day that we met, man, I showed up to the gym, had no intention of meeting anybody, had no intention of, you know, anything. And I remember I saw you and Brad were talking, and I was like, this is weird. I've never seen Brad just like sitting talking to a random person, you know? And so that transpired. And then you went and started working out, and then Brad kind of pulled me off to the side, and he never had done this. He never, you know, said anything like this, but he was just like, hey, just be you today. And I was just like, okay, like whatever that's supposed to mean, you know, like, all right. So, you know, just interacting with you and was so great. You know, as we were lifting, we were cheering each other on and all that jazz. And then, dude, like as you went over by the lockers and I could see you were kind of packing up, I like was just still doing my thing. And this was one of the moments when God was like, go over there and talk to him. And I was just like, I don't, all right. And there was even one of those things where like, I battled with it, you know. I was like, maybe that's just my imagination coming up with some situational idea that makes sense in the moment. But then that voice was, you know, God's very subtle when he speaks, you know, and so sometimes we can just like run right past it, you know, especially when we're in the gym and there's music going on, there's people and stuff. So it was just a really cool experience for me to be like, okay, well, I'll go over there. And then I got over there and we started talking, and then that voice came back and he was like, tell him about the Bible study. And I was like, I don't know. I don't want to be that weird Christian guy that's all fired up about Jesus and pushes someone away. You know, it's like the biggest fear as a Christian or as a believer is like, I'm going to, you know, be too geeked up for somebody. And so it was just, I mean, you said, you were like, bro, like, I can't believe you said that. And like, it just got me all fired up. And then seeing you come out to the event and just seeing you be a part of all the Bible studies that you were, man, it's just been really, really cool. And it's just been inspiring to me to just continue to try and listen and just try and be in the moment and try and just, you know, walk in the steps that are given. And yeah, dude, like you said, I have no plans for the next 10 years. And like, you know, Brad 5 years ago would have had a meltdown if that was the situation. But I feel so much more at peace, and I feel so much more content, like with where I'm at. You know, I watched the interview you and Brad did, and or the conversation you guys had, and you know, I said it on your post, like it was just so great to hear your guys' hearts about it. And I think that's just something that I think we all need to just take into consideration going forward, whether things go back to normal or they become a new normal, or we're in this quarantine for another 3 months, like whatever it is, we just need to understand, like we have to share with each other what's going on in our lives, and we have to be open. And it was just a reminder to me that I have to continue to share my story, and I got to encourage others to share their story. Because for me, man, like there's nothing more empowering than hearing somebody interact with Jesus and hearing how God is working through somebody's heart. You know, I know how much he's impacted me, and seeing it happen to other people just makes me so happy, dude. Like I know what it's like to be in the darkness. I know what it's like to feel dead. You know, I've been there. And you know, my struggles with drug abuse and just dealing with that whole thing. And my dad was an alcoholic, like just very addictive personality. And so it's just been amazing to find community at Maven where I can be myself and I can pursue my faith, and I don't have to worry about, you know, being too much for anybody, which is the biggest thing I'm missing right now is that community, and being able to bring people together and all that jazz. So I'm just so fired up for when this thing ends and we all can get back together again, dude. I think we're going to get 50, 60 people in the room together, and we're all just going to cry because we're so grateful, you know, like for me, you know, I start tearing up and I start crying when I can feel the presence of God, and it, you know, bothers me sometimes. It's like kind of annoying, you know, I'm like having a great moment and then I just start crying because I'm so happy. And it's just like, dude, not right now. Like, let's not do this right now. But yeah, I'm excited to do burpees and cry with everybody. So yeah.
Well, and that's one of the things that, you know, because I was aware and I was like listening to that voice, because sometimes it's not subtle, but it's just like, when people say, I hope he answered my prayers. The answer's always there.
Mhm.
But a lot of times it's either not right now, which that sucks, or which like in the immediacy that sucks, or it's
Right.
no, which then in the immediacy that sucks. But it's just like you said, for me specifically, I remember thinking how many times I was at the gym and I was just like, I just don't want to work out. And then I choose to leave my gym and I think, wow, I missed the opportunity to want to be able to say, is this a choice if I'm going to work out at the gym or not? Because I'm not going there. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, and for me to be aware to listening to what God said, that's why when you keep saying, I can't wait till this is over, I'm not sure why you're waiting. So um, I think we just have to be a little bit more creative to then how you're going to connect, because that's part of the reason why I really think God put me with you is what I do best. And when I was talking to Victoria, because I interviewed her as well,
Mm.
and what I do, that was one of the things too. So I don't know why I started this. Like I said, I don't know why I started my YouTube channel other than, one of the guys who I want to do motivational speaking with, he said, you got to put out content. So I talk to this box occasionally, and it's basically, I pray, I turn it on, and I record myself, and half the time I don't remember what the hell I talked about. I'm just like, okay. And I try not to go back in it because I get involved then, because then I'm like, oh, I wish I wouldn't have said this, or I realize that I do this all the time, and I get very big eyes and like freaky eyes because we're not here. And usually, like if we're here, we're 2 feet apart, but I'm touching you like this, like we're the only people in the room. But I'm like, because I get jazzed up too, and I'm like, I'm doing that while on video, and it's recorded for everyone to see. Like as soon as you said, I can't wait, then why are you? So
uh, so
just
so
this,
my
go
my
ahead.
my big thing right now is like I don't know what God's doing, and so that's where the waiting is it's like I don't know what's going to come out of this, and like I'm really okay with that, and I think I'm actually really fired up about that. um in my journey so far, I've learned that when I have no idea what's going on and I'm waiting, that's when God's doing the most. And that's when he's really preparing something epic. And so the more that I'm content with waiting and the more that I'm postured to love in waiting, then the more that he's going to be able to do through me when the time comes. And so I say waiting, not like, oh, I'm not
Yeah,
doing anything, but I do have this this newer like patience where like it doesn't have to happen right away. And honestly, man, I see the gym opening and this I I don't know, man. There's so many what ifs right now. Like speculation can go in so many different directions, but I just keep God keeps giving me this vision of like 60 people in a room together again, and it's like a reminder of the event we had right before this all happened, and it's also a reminder of the vision he gave me before this all happened. And it's just so crazy because I think this quarantine is actually firing people up more. And it's like, I don't even have to do anything. All I got to do is just like keep staying disciplined with my own practices, stay within my relationship with God, and just keep that as like the number one priority. And I think just in focusing on that and waiting on the rest, I think is just where he's going to be able to take control the most, if that makes sense. The act of surrender, right? Like that's the hardest thing to do. Spencer McCool, he used to be a Maven. He's actually a pastor at a church in Macomb somewhere. And he said it, and there's more strength in surrender than controlling. And it's just been rocking me ever since Easter when he preached that, because it's just, there really is so much power in surrender when you can let the creator of the universe take control. There's just so much more that can happen. But what are your ideas? What's your vision for coming out of this quarantine, whether it's in a month or whether it's in a couple weeks or a few months?
well,
What's
so
on your heart?
my heart is I am what I've been doing basically for almost 30 years since I decided to stay sober. Well, when I said decided to stay sober, decided to turn my will and my life over to the care of God as I understand him,
Mm-hmm.
on a daily basis, which I've done that for 29 and a half years, which is a pretty good daily basis.
Heck
But
yeah.
it's I'm an entrepreneur of people's potential. So Victoria put it great, which is, she said, you see the potential in people, and what you're good about doing is cheerleading them and guiding them to see their own potential. And I went, that is my jam. That's why when I even said to Kyle, I think I said it to you too. I'm not sure, but I said, have you ever thought of doing podcasts?
Mm-hmm. You did.
And you were like, you kind of did the, well, I don't know. And we went on. And I was like, because it was at that event, and I was, once again, I felt directed to bring it up, but not. So here's what I think should happen. It was kind of like, hey, have you ever thought of this? And it was one of those weird things. It was like that. Just say it to them, because
Mm-hmm.
instead of the fear part, I was just like, okay, I'm living in faith. Like, I love what you said, active surrender. I'm living in faith. So if it pops in my head, in my heart, I'm going to say it, not necessarily in my head, because that's not where we all want to spend time. But in my heart, I'll be like, hey, do you ever think, same with Kyle, have you thought of recording? And he was like, oh, so, which I'm going to have another one of these conversations with him too, because
Heck yeah.
if he hasn't been on with those people on a Zoom and recording it, so in some sort of way, he has let 6 weeks pass without being 6 weeks farther than where he should be. Because that's
right.
like, but once again, so go ahead.
The reason that, like, when you said it to me, and then I kind of like, I did not brush it off. Like, I've still been thinking about that statement that you made to me.
It wasn't
Jeff.
my statement. That's probably why.
Hey, okay. So just like, when I was really involved in the festival scene for a good amount of time. That's kind of how I got into sewing. I started making clothes, and I went to Electric Forest, and I got some guys to wear it on stage. And
oh, that's cool.
I was like, bro, I'm going to do this. Like, that's when I realized I wasn't going to cut my hair. And so I didn't cut my hair for 5 years. Like, all this crazy, there you go. Like, all this crazy hippie stuff, you start doing acid and mushrooms, and you start getting these crazy ideas, it's just weird.
I taste air.
I can feel the color green, dude. But that being said, like, in that time, I had gotten into doing some podcasts, and I started like creating content. And that's really like when I started exploring my spirituality and sharing it through different mediums. And it's just so strange. I mean, obviously with those psychedelic drugs, I think it gives you a perspective into the spiritual, but it's not the real thing. It's like you get a glimpse, but it's not really what's going on. And so I think at that time I was getting vision, and I was getting insight into things I wasn't ready for.
Yeah.
And so, when you brought it up again, it made me have to really sit back and go, maybe God has changed my heart in such a way that it's time to start sharing my heart again, and maybe
Bradley,
it's,
do me a favor. Could you repeat what you exactly just said to me?
I don't remember.
Okay. Especially the very first word, which was, you said, maybe God has changed my heart.
Well, I'm pretty sure he has. I think he's got some more work to do. But
well, no, I don't think we're finished products. But once again, like, because go ahead.
No, so I've been, just in my, and being in quarantine, I've been trying to create more content and trying to make more consistent posts and just, share my heart more about where I'm at in my journey and all that stuff. So that was definitely because of you having the willingness to share what was on your heart in that moment at the event. And just made me kind of realize, like, maybe I am in my head too much. And that's what's just been so crazy about this whole getting back into sewing thing, dude. Like, I hadn't really been sewing since I got baptized. Like, I got baptized, and that, like I said, I was done. And so pursuing being a fashion designer and creating a clothing brand, that all became on the back burner. I stopped, in conversations and talking to people. I wasn't I wasn't running a clothing brand anymore. I wasn't a designer. You know, I was a guy who worked at Bessa and served awesome food to people, and I had a community growing at Maven, and those are the things I talked about. And then as soon as the quarantine happened, and as soon as time changed in terms of my responsibilities, and then God put on my heart to start sewing masks, I was like, you would, bruh. Like, you would. Like,
well played,
okay.
dude. Well
Yeah,
played.
well played.
You prepared me years ago, because he plays
For
the
this.
long game. It really
Yeah.
is. Like, that's all I keep thinking about. All these people that have been put in my life, I'm like, well, now that freaking makes sense. That's weird. Like, I'm not. It's not like when I met you, I was like, okay, so what's he gonna teach me? It's not like that. I'm much more. All right.
Let's see where this goes.
Let's see where this
Let's
goes.
run it.
Like,
Yeah.
because like you said, active surrender. Awesome. And because in AA, one of the things I loved, or at least in my home group that I've been to for over 20 years or something like that, is they said God's answers are way wiser than my questions and my prayers. And I'm like, yep. That's part of the reason why when I pray, I don't sit there and say, hey, here's what I want you to do. Here's what I'm a lot of times it's, you know what, God bless me. God bless my heart. Help me be open. You know, bless them. I don't, because I wanted to try to be specific in, you know, bless them, do this. Well, then that's my addition. And that's not a real surrender. And so I really do, I'm like, before I do these, I sit there, I'm like, help me hear and help me, you know, say something. And so, but I'm telling you, so the whole point of me being good at helping people, I'm good with managing people. I don't manage things worth dang at all. Hence, part of the reason why it was okay to walk away from CFN, because I felt horrible about how like the books were kept. Because, I mean, like I said, I put in, I don't even, like, probably 4 times as much as I ever took out. Well, way more than 4. But I was, you know, if you just looked right at it, you couldn't tell without being one of those CSI people for books, that I put way more money in than I ever took out. But I felt horrible to Jason, because he that's not his jam, and he was like, what is this? And I'm like,
What am I supposed to do?
But I manage people, and part of the reason why I'm so good at managing people is the connection of God, because that is probably my biggest gift. Is I am that crier because I'm happy. I am a human unicorn. I am I've just met you and I need to give you a hug. Like, or I'm one of those people who walk up to people and talk to them, and if it be like, maybe I was the conduit from God to be nice to them, so that they, for whatever happened later in the day, made them not want to kill themselves, or made them think, oh, I guess life is anything. And so so luckily I had been being prepared for a while, so that when I sit there and I watch you, and I'm usually not just introspective without saying something, because I'm almost the polar opposite of Brad in that way. Whereas Brad, I could see he's always thinking, but if, you know, like Victoria said, if he's not really interested in it, he's not like gonna just small talk it, because he kind of is like,
right.
This is stupid. I don't mean to be rude to you, even though I'm probably not even gonna say I'm not gonna be rude. I'm just not gonna talk to you about this. You know, and
he's very calculated, very calculated.
And but I think what I do is, because my brain, because of the drugs and all the other stuff, and the, you know, self-deprecation and the negativity, which is my normal state, I don't keep things quiet very much. When I do, which was a week before I left CrossFit Nova, I thought, when's the last time I cried? Which is not good, because I cry every day. Partially, and it's mainly because I feel God in so many ways, and I feel gratitude in so many ways, that I still struggle with judging myself, because I'm, you know, at the end of a TV show, like the Goldbergs. I know I'm going to get emotional and sensitive because I'm grateful for my family because they're grateful. Do you know what I mean? And you're right. I'm thinking, shouldn't I be a man, like what a stereotypical man should be, and like, oh, football and rah, rah. And I'm like, I love football players. I don't care. Who am I pretending to be? But I think what God has told me and maybe put me to you, because no matter what, I just want to be available to try to give anything back to you. Because like I said, I sit there and watch you get so excited, almost to the point of like, I can't share this enough. Which is, I'm like, once again, I didn't come up with a brilliant idea of, well, why don't you podcast? Like, I'm sitting there thinking, when you said, why wait? Why are you, have you decided to start a podcast with all those people from that church? Have you done Zoom workouts with all those people from that church on a regular basis? Why don't you create that room of 60? Who says the room needs to be in Maven?
A room.
Why
right.
wait until, because you can get a room of 60 before you get to Maven, and then guess what? You get to Maven and it's just like anything. Do you have to go to church to feel God?
No.
Because he's everywhere. But it's the active surrender of the old ideas. Well, that's what I'm weirded out about, because my wife is very traditional. She's like, so what are you going to do for job? And I'm like, honest to God, I'm doing it. I'm not getting paid a dime right now, but I'm doing it. I'm connecting with people. I'm reaching out to people. I'm creating content. I am being as much love as I possibly can be. And I'm getting close to God as much as I can, because me doing that today will make my tomorrow even better, which means next week, I can't even fathom now. And then in December, what? Like, I don't know. And so, but for you, and I don't know what it looks like. And I think that's another reason why I can tell it's from God, because I'm not involved in I haven't tainted it.
Right.
Which is why I know I'm on the right path, because when the stone lights up right now, it is bioluminescent, man. It's when somebody says, well, how can you know there's God? You're like, if it hasn't touched your heart, or you haven't allowed it to touch your heart, you just know. Because as soon as it does, you went, yep. Yep. It's just like when I walked in and I met you. Yep. When it popped in my head, why isn't he podcasting? I don't know. Why are you asking me? I guess it's because I'll be your hands and feet, and I'll be your mouth, and I'll ask that question. So, in the fact that you've thought about it this long and you haven't been continually doing because in my head, I've done a couple podcast workouts with some people and stuff. And I love, yes, you've been amazing with hosting, you and Kyle. That's different than you having 60 people in the room. So, and once again, because you're so connected right now and aware that you're the hands and feet, I don't think it's important that it's in your comfort zone, because we know that's not where we grow anyway. So the comfort zone 100%. Is the building of Maven. I understand that. Trust me, because I owned a gym. Literally, everybody would be gone, and I'd just sit in the middle of the room and be like, okay, I'm safe in here. Like, this place is super dangerous, but I'm safe in here. Like, okay.
Right.
Because I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to, because this is what I did, because I want to know things. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm supposed to do Zoom workouts with people. And I've done a couple, and it's awesome. And there was like 14 people, and I'm still reaching out and doing some, but it hasn't fully connected. It hasn't clicked. Partially probably because, and this is an ego hurt. This is why I don't like this so much. Maybe that's not my point. Maybe my point of my Zoom things not working is so that I can be there for you to say, hey, you are so naturally good at and gifted in so many, like, you don't even know. You have no clue. How jazzed you get up is barely scratching the surface of how people are taking you. That's what I mean. That's what I'm watching. That's why I was so attracted to you. That's why I was like, yes. That's a 50-minute ride with no traffic. I don't care. I'll leave early. Like, yes. because I don't think you should wait. Because what's going to happen when it opens? Why not bring those people there? Or because some people aren't going to want to come to the gym. Does that mean you have to leave them out? Hell no. This is awesome. This is more encompassing. You're going to reach more people. I have friends in so many different countries that maybe you're the face of being able to connect with them. Now, the reason why it affects me from an ego standpoint, I want it to be me. I want it to be me. I want to be because I like to talk. You've met me.
Yeah,
you and
do.
I would feel almost bad that if people were in a conversation with you and I talking about God, because it would almost be like verbal tennis. You know what I mean? Like, and they would just be like, I guess I don't have anything to say or input. I guess I'll never mind. And you and I are like, but it was like, so when at CFN, we did the Granite Games Throwdown. We had 144 people. We had to cap it because it was getting too big.
Wow.
It just kept and I get very weirded out when I start giving myself compliments because I'm always like, oh, am I going to get too ego? That's not my natural state. I'm usually like, I have to come up for half the day just to get to feeling okay about myself. So,
right.
But the person who was in charge, his name's Rob, he was the perfect person. And I knew in my heart, I'm taking a back seat. Rob's going to be in charge. And I didn't like it. And I even told Rob that. But that's one of the reasons why I know it was right. And it's a God thing, because I just told him, I said, I'm jealous that you are better suited for this than me. And that you're going to do a better job at this than me. And he was like, no, you could do it. And I went, no. It's the same with doing this connection in a God-directed, Jesus-directed, workout-directed niche. Okay, I don't know if you're supposed to podcast about sewing. You did. It was amazing. It was great. That impacted me in a wonderful way. In my heart, I don't know, once again, I don't know how to explain it to you. You have got to get on it. Not tomorrow, and especially if you've already podcasted, because when you're actively surrendering and you're like, you know what, Jesus, come into me, let me be your hands and feet. As soon as you say that, you're not worried about, am I too Christian for this person? Am I too wanting to work out for this person? Am I too caring for this person? Because if you are, then those aren't your people, or they're not ready in their journey to meet you there. Mm-hmm. Because Simon Sinek, I love he doesn't even talk about spirituality at all, but his connectiveness is a spiritual principle. And I don't want to, knowing your why is good for everybody. Not everybody is ready to know their why. Not everybody wants to. And so mm-hmm. we're not trying to do business, even though he talks about business, we're not trying to do business with everybody who needs us. We're trying to do business with everybody who thinks the way we think. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, if you start limiting yourself of, well, I don't know, because, I don't, you put that together. Yes, you had help. Yes, whatever. But because you were God's hands and feet, maybe you need to be God's mouth and God's podcast. Like, why are you not doing this? Because if it's been in your heart and mind for this long, once again, the reason I thought of it, because I remember thinking, I'm having an in-body experience currently, because God's literally talking through me. So I was like, okay, because as soon as you went into my interaction, you were kind of like, yeah. Because you didn't sit there and tell me, well, I used to do podcasts and I used to do this, but that, right. You didn't have this conversation, which is kind of funny that we're now having this conversation. But that's what I mean. That's how I know right now I'm being God's hands and feet and mouth and podcast. And I would love to be the person who's on stage talking to 10,000 people, or the person who's doing this, who's getting paid $25,000 to have everybody listen to me and how wonderful I am. Well, that's right. Not even a slippery slope. That's straight up drop off. So I'm like, maybe that's why I'm not there, because I'm not removed enough into the active surrender enough of not being tempted to be like, oh man, look at this guy at the end of these thumbs. Whereas right now I'm like this. It's all God. It's all God. It's all God.
Heck yeah.
Everything I'm doing is God.
And on a vulnerability note, a vulnerability alert, coming from the background that I come from, and having done the things that I've done in terms of lust and sex and drugs and pursuing and literally chastising God and hating on God and clowning on people that believed in God. Like I know I've been touched, and I know I'm developing a relationship with Jesus, man, but there's still just a lot of shame and a lot of feelings like I don't deserve that responsibility. And the way that I've been trying to battle that is just spend more time in the Word. I don't really have any understanding or deep understanding of the Bible, since I didn't grow up in it. A lot of people that I go to church with and a lot of people that I'm friends with have a background, whether they were actually engaging in a relationship or not. They at least have a background of these stories and of these moments of Jesus and the way that everything has kind of progressed. And so for me, I felt like I've been in a catch-up battle of taking these visions and these downloads that God has given me, and I'm trying to piece them together with what's in the Bible. It's like God has given me so much insight just through him speaking into my heart, but at the same time I don't have the Bible verses to back it up yet. And so I'm still like,
so are you saying
that.
So I'm going to go my psychological degrees on you now. I'm going to paraphrase.
Here we go.
So what I hear you saying is, when I get more expertise, I will feel more comfortable sharing what I have. Is that somewhat what you were saying?
Yeah. To me, it just, I want to share how God's, and been working in my heart in the way that he's been changing my heart and speak to who he is. But it's kind of like when you show up to a gym and you see a guy snatching 300 pounds perfectly, like, am I going to be the one that goes to tell him how to make his snatch better? It's like, I feel
now I totally understand why I am talking to you. Oh my gosh. I will never be an elite athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. I am an elite coach. That's taking it's hard for me to accept that sometimes, but I am an elite coach. Not because I'm the best, but because of how important it is to me, how I can convey the message to somebody. So there was one of that kid who works out, that does lifting with Kate and I sometimes, that younger boy.
Elijah.
Yeah, Elijah.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was there, and when he was there, the only time I was there, he was there. I went over there and I just started talking to him. Listen, obviously I've seen him lift, and he was like, he's a national ranked lifter. He's an amazing lifter.
Stud.
But I was like, hey, just letting you know, this is what I just saw. So this is really good that you did that. I just want you to know, like, you might want to be more patient with that. Because part of it is, why am I saying it so he knows that I'm an amazing coach? No. Why am I giving him the information? You tell me, why am I giving him the information?
Because you know what you know, and it could help him.
It might help him.
Right.
So, do you think somebody who was raised to believe in God, knew the Bible verses by the time they were 10 years old, and this and that, and has always just made good choices and wonderful, do you think if somebody said, they came to you when you were thinking about getting baptized, and they said, no, this is what you need to do. You need to do this, and you need to think this, and you need to think this. Or if somebody came to you and said, listen, man, literally a year ago, I got baptized because I came to the point in my life where I said, I had my come to Jesus minute. And I said, I am suicidal. I hate myself. I have done pretty much everything possible to not give you reason to love me. But I'm going to get emotional, but I know that you do love me. So I'm really conflicted. Which one are you going to relate with more? You don't even have to answer the freaking question. So maybe that's why you are perfect to share your message. It's the same reason why I am highly, highly equipped to share the message of living in sobriety. I've been sober for 29 and a half years. That's a freaking long time. But I don't think of it until maybe 2 months ago. It was just, well, that's just how I am. That's just what I do. But then I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, but that's like, and once again, when I think of how I've been sober, my immediate response is God has graced me with what, like, on a daily basis is and I've forgotten most of the stuff he's graced me with. And so that's how I've stayed sober. Like, cause every year you stand up and you get a coin and some people say, how do you do it? And I always for 27 of those 29 years when I haven't been self-centered, pretty much, okay, maybe like 20 something, but I was pretty much just, I responded with, I didn't do it. God has graced me, unmerited favor. And so when I keep thinking about being successful, because I know I'm meant for more. I am meant to be, I don't even know, more. And I don't want to limit it, which is what I've done my whole life. Like, I'm too scared to be a motivational speaker because, like, so Second City is a stand-up thing in an improv group. I was invited to go to Second City back in the day when it was in Michigan, sight unseen, just from people telling a woman who worked with them how awesome and funny I was. Oh man. So I had been sober less than 2 years, and I almost pooped myself as soon as they said, yeah, I told you got to just reach out to her and they want to meet you. Oh, hell no. And instantly I was like, nope, I'm scared of success. Nope. And I never did it because that's not my calling. My calling isn't to be the funniest person. My calling is to help somebody realize maybe they're the funniest person, honestly. And part of the reason why that is because I've always been two ends. I've either been the shit or a piece of shit. That's it. I've never been normal. Do you know what I mean? I'm only one of two things. That. And so, and it's funny because some days I literally wake up, I'm a piece. Oh wait, I'm okay. Nope, I'm the best. And then I'm like, so the reason why I truly believe this is hysterical, and now why we're talking right now, because when I first brought it, well, when it was first said through to me, to you, is that, in my head, like I said, I thought you just faffed it off. And we're like, yeah. Why I didn't immediately go, no, seriously, you should. And I was kind of like, his journey, it wasn't me that said that, but now I'm not feeling that. I am not, because part of my journey is to realize, why are you waiting? Well, because I don't have a perfect relationship. I can't recite Jeremiah and Deuteronomy 16:46, and I can't. So part of why people don't like perfect. People don't like easy. Well, let me rephrase that. People don't relate with easy. People don't relate with, why do you think so many people are infatuated but also hate royal families? Right? Like, well, sure, life would be awesome if I was born when I never had to work and I never had, really? Like, people killed their mom by running her off the road, basically. Yeah, that's sure great and easy for everybody. But the grass isn't always greener. And so in my heart, I know there's no more waiting for you. I didn't even remember that you did, but I didn't even know. So that's how I know it's a God thing too, because how would I know? You already knew how to freaking do it.
Oh yeah, I deleted all those for sure.
And that's okay, because once again, preparation. Today is a preparation for tomorrow. Now you're not guaranteed tomorrow, but you're also not guaranteed, like, why am I saying, why did I take the time to go 45 minutes to a gym to somebody I'd never. So yes, selfishly, it was wonderful because I reached out and I met Brad, but all of a sudden I met you, and then I met your brother, and then I met Jason, and then I got to talk to Dylan and Mia, and I realized Faith really is as sweet as she says she is. And I'm like, what kind of place is this? This is exactly how I wanted things to be. And I just constantly want to hug you and the Brads. I call them the Brads. It's awesome. Even though most people are like, what? And I'm like, it's awesome in my head. And then like I have to climb up there. Like Brad's a little shorter, so it's not quite a high jump for me to hug you guys. But so I'm like all this cool stuff, and I'm just telling you, and I don't know what it's going to look like specifically, but my jam and the biggest way I influence people, because I am an influencer. I wish I knew how to do, not wish, because that means I would have to learn it. It would be awesome if it was a virtuoso in learning in technology, so I could be a digital and I wish I knew, or not wish. It would be nice if that was a virtuoso in computer literacy. And same with, it would be awesome if I was a virtuoso in singing. I took 2 singing classes at whatever, how much it was, going to Madonna University as my electives because I wanted to sing better. I don't sing much better, but I still did it because if it was important to me, I'm going to put my energy there. Now, what I liked, and I wrote down, which is super funny because I haven't been writing stuff down, interviewing most people. What you said, I'm done, and what popped in my head, now we can start. I'm done. Now we can start, because that's what it was with me with sobriety. So I was high before I walked back into treatment, because my dad had came and picked me up. I called treatment center, and I had done cough syrup. I slammed a bottle of cough syrup because I was like, dude, I'm not able to deal with the shame not high. Like I am doing like whatever. I mean, it was horrible. I still remember like the cherry flavor. Still to this day, I'm like 30 years later. And I called and I was like, yeah, somebody can come pick me up and bring me in. And they went, you find your own damn way here, and click, and hung up on me. And I was like, what? Like, that was a sobering moment. And so when my dad brought me, he said, you coming in? I said, yeah, I need a minute. He said, okay, but you need to come in, because he thought I was going to run away again. And I sat there, and that was my come to Jesus moment. It was, listen, I am done. And it's 29 and a half years ago, January 7th, 1991. I was standing in the parking lot, and I said, I am done. I didn't say I can't. I said, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. That was my plea. And it was, please just help me. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And he said, now we can start. And I've been sober ever since then. And so I don't know how to convey, this moment has been 29 and a half years of moments to be able to tell you, I'm done, now we can start. I think if you don't do this, it's being selfish. It's living in the fear side of limitation. It's not getting the word out because it's not refined enough, or you don't know enough verses, or you don't have, then you know what? Those are fucking guests on your podcast. Get Jason on your podcast. Get a scholar on your podcast. If you want, be the change you want to see in the world. And it's like, I don't know why. Well, I kind of do know why, because as soon as I said it out loud to you, it's, I want to be the center of attention. Because I'm like, well, how else am I going to be successful? How am I going to monetize that? I don't even care right now. I really don't. And for the last 5 months, because I've been in this position, I've been actively surrendering. And it's scary because I don't know, and then I don't want to affect my wife and this and that and the other thing, but it's almost like I don't know how to explain just to anybody else. This is what this moment, if nothing else, this moment is why I've been actively surrendering for 5.5 months. And this moment is why people saw me as a trigger and didn't want me at the gym. And why for months I didn't, all these things I wanted to work out at the gym didn't work out because it would have made it harder for me to leave. I would have tried to fought for it. I don't know why we got on today instead of when I reached out to go on the 12th. I realized, I said, before I reached back out to you, I said, when's the last time why haven't I got him on this podcast? It wasn't time. And I am so understanding of it, just as I am of that there's a God, that it's why I need to stay sober, because a lot of people are like, you were 17 when you stopped using. You don't think you could have grown out of it? And I'm like, because even when I did well, maybe it was just a phase, because a lot of people, it was phases. No, because I'm done. Now we can start. And it's that immediate admission. All right, I'm done. Because he's sitting there waiting. Now we can start. Because the first word of the 12 steps of AA, we. It's we, not you admitted. Nope, it's we. I love him. It's and yeah, before he goes anywhere, I'm gonna get to him too. But it's the we part, and the fact that literally, how old are you?
I'm 28, turning 29 this year, bro. You gave your life to God right before I was born.
So think about this. You just told me what I felt 29 and a half years ago. You just told me what I experienced on how I've stayed sober for 29 and a half years. What you just said. And for whatever reason, I was told, write it down. Like with Brad, I didn't write anything down. With Victoria, I didn't write anything down. With several other people, I didn't write anything down. But I'm available. And so when that thing comes, I don't necessarily need to know the why. The outcome is not my responsibility. And what you were saying about why you haven't started the podcast, why you haven't started the Zoom group meetings, why you haven't started that, because you're trying to visualize or diagram the outcome. That's like saying, I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to join CrossFit. And you know where I'm going with this. I'm not going to join CrossFit until I'm in shape.
Oh,
really?
Dear. Oh, you just said it, Jeff. You just said it. Oh, listen, no. So. Oh, no. And you're the one. I'm that guy. I'm being that guy. You no. No, dude. Where you are on your journey has spoken to me so dramatically and impacted me so much. I need you to move. I really need you to be the hands and feet and podcast of God, because even if, once again, because as soon as I say that, I understand but my limitations, but my lack of, yeah, okay, that's you. So once you get back into the we can start. What if it was one person out of all those people that showed up on that day? What if that one sentence in one podcast spoke to somebody's heart? Because immediately, I know with your eyes, you just totally understood. Then I was the hand and feet of God, and I'm so grateful. Because that's like saying, I'm not going to coach people unless I know they're going to make the CrossFit Games. Some people do that. Some people do that. Some people handpick. Like, I thought that's how Brad was. Honest to God, that's how I thought Brad was. And I'm like, and I wasn't like that, because I really I don't innately relate with people who are physical like you and your brother. Like, you guys are, and you could say, listen, whatever. You guys are physical specimens. Same with Brad. Brad's a physical specimen. If somebody walked in that was 100 pounds overweight and said, listen, I want to work out because I want to stay alive to see my babies grow up,
you think anybody that you know at that gym is going to be like, I don't really have a whole lot of time for you. Let me see who can coach you. Or are you going to be like, oh my gosh, yes.
Let's go.
Let's go. That's what's happening here. That's you had you saw 60 people. I want to see how many ever screens with 60 people, because it's the same with, I keep thinking, well, I've got to be a motivational speaker, but I'm not this. I'm not like you. You're natural. Like, I'm high energy, but I'm more high energy when I'm like one-on-one or when I'm working with a smaller team. I am not immediately high energy because I feed off of it. I'm not immediately high energy in a room of 20,000 people. That's not my gig. I just 100% acknowledge, even though I want to be, because that's a shit ton of money. That would be awesome. Even if you do that twice, you're like, I'm done for the year, bitches. Let's just talk to God. That's not how it's gonna work.
Catch me in my RV, dude. I'm going up north.
Yep, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna be the monk like nobody's business, and then twice a year just show up at a city and be like, touch you, you get a car, Oprah. But right now, that's not my jam. My jam is, I know in my heart this is something you should be. I'm not even gonna should you. God is speaking through me, and it is time. It is time to stop relying on your self-doubt, stop judging yourself, stop minimizing your progress. That's all you're doing. That's all you said to me. Like, when you go back and watch that part of what you were talking about, you see my face smile, because I'm like, oh shit, this just dropped right now. I was like, God literally just said, and now you can hear. You were on mute, and then the volume was up. Because once again, why is that easy to me? Why are people easy? Why can I know what people's? It's not me. It's the way God created me to be his hands and feet, and his ears and his mouth. So I don't know, other than you reaching out, even if you reached out to those people that I don't even know. Like, I remember it's like the church is like 1763 or 49 or something. I don't know. It's like a number. And then I was like, that's kind of interesting. I didn't even know anything about it. You being successful means my journey is successful. And that's a very truly selfless place to be, because I'm like, immediately my brain goes, how's that going to pay my bills? Because at some point I know Donna's going to say, how's that going to pay your bills?
And you're going to be like, I don't know.
I don't know. But I tell you right now, if I help you get successful, and I help your brother, when we talk to him in a minute, be successful. Not even be successful, but be fulfilled, which is success. Because that's when I'm saying success, I am now intertwining it with fulfillment. I'm not financially, once again, you do what you love and you know your purpose, it's gonna take care of itself. It really will. Like, we know that. But that active surrender is sometimes not even just daily. That's like, oh, it's been 20 minutes. I guess I'm doing it again. Okay. But that's why else would I have 29 and a half years of practice actively surrendering, if not to hear that as soon as you said that today, on the last day of April in 2020, fucking COVID. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Do you know what I'm saying?
I feel you, man.
So,
and Jeff, I'm super, super grateful, man, for what you've been saying, dude. The last like 3 or 4 days, in my like prayer time, God's been like making it really clear that there's going to be a new normal going back to things. It's not going to be the same. And when I first started hearing that,
because you're not the same.
Yeah, dude. It's touching my heart, dude. Yeah, it's just the timing of you saying all this, dude, is seriously impacting me right now. And I'm just kind of at a loss for words, dude. Just overwhelmed with the feeling of his presence right now in this conversation, even though it's through a Zoom chat. And I'm just so grateful, dude. I have these things, and I've just been holding on to them, and it's just another moment where for me to go forward, I have to surrender. And I
Because
think
you were actively surrendering the stuff you were comfortable surrendering,
mhm,
which
which is fair, you know.
which
I
is
mean, it's
fair
just
because that's what we
it's fair.
do. We're
Yeah.
like, and then somebody like me comes in and I'm like, hey, Raw Nerve, hey, I'm gonna point out all the stuff you haven't surrendered, and you're like, whoa, dude, I think you're a little too in there. But that's not where you are in your journey. You're receptive. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So my thing was I was trying to touch people who kind of said maybe they were wanting to, like, I want to be an elite athlete. I want to do mindset training. And so I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm all in because that's my energy level. My energy level is I am going to, because I am 100% elite coach. Once again, I don't know a lot of the Bible. Why do you think I was so excited that Jason was sitting here quoting stuff? Because to me, that's, if I'm teachable, I'm workable, and I'm also approachable. Why are a lot of people, like when I went to the CrossFit Games, my daughter gave me this unicorn, or was it the unicorn? A stuffed animal. And so what I said is, all right, I'll take pictures with people that maybe you've met, so that, and send it to you because I'm not with you, so that way you can be like, I'm thinking of you, and that's cool, right?
Mhm.
So Carrie Pierce walks in, and I just went, or I had been talking to somebody, and Camille LeBlanc walks in, and I said, hey, I know you're really busy. Would you do me a favor? Because she's friends with Alexis Raptis' family. And I said, I'm friends with Alexis Raptis. I actually was her coach for a while, but this is my daughter's little toy. Would you just take a picture of it real quick? And she said, yep. Same with Sam Dancer. He took a picture with it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, Carrie Pierce, I was like, so she walks in, I went, thanks for Summer of Abs, Miss Carrie Pierce. And she just looked at me, and everybody at the gym was like, dude, what are you doing? Oh my, I went, she's human. And because it's that perceived separation. Listen, I wasn't going up to her saying, yeah, you and I are on the same level when it comes to working out. And it's funny because I had spoken to her then, but everybody was like kind of weirded out. She laughed because I said, yeah, everybody at my gym's doing it. It's killing us. And she just laughed. She's like, you're welcome. And was sassy and walked away. So she works out during the summer, she's from Michigan. She works out at Wolverine when I was training the Olympic weightlifting kids, the U of M
Oh,
kids.
okay.
So she
Okay.
came in before Christmas, and I was just talking to her because I'm like, yeah, she's a person. That's awesome. And I said to her, and I started coaching her about her lifts because I don't give a rat's ass. I'm like, yeah, I'm a coach. If you were going to compare abs, that's adorable. I've got more gray hair than you. Are we playing that game? Like, whatever. And so it was the commonalities, because that's the one thing I've always felt way different from people, is I have always just wanted to, immediately I see the connectiveness with people, whereas a lot of people see the differences. That's why I literally, I'm like, okay, yeah, you're black, or you're Asian, or you're tall, or you're short, or you have hair. I'm losing my hair. You have a male voice. I don't. Like you, I'm an average size female. You're not. Yes, I'm aware of that stuff, but that's not, like, I see your journey right now. I see, when I talk to people, I see they can sit there and be complaining. I love him. They can be complaining and whatever, but I see what's really going on. I see the connectivity. And to like, one of my friends who I reached out to, who has equipment that does podcast stuff, I was like, oh, maybe that's, I'll get that stuff. Maybe I'm supposed to meet back with her after 8 years or 10 years, whatever it is. How old is Jake? 14? 12 years. So that maybe I get that equipment so that you can do your podcast again. I don't even know, but maybe that makes sense. And I'm like, well, shit beans, that's interesting. But once again, more will be revealed when I'm actively surrendering. And so, but once again, I promise you, you're going to connect with this many people when you're this available because you're still doing. I'm still learning the Bible verses, and then I'll be able to share them with people. I'm still making sure I'm perfect. Well, I'm going to just throw it out there. You're fucked because you're never going to be perfect.
You're right, man.
And
You're
so
right.
it's, and when I said from the beginning of what people relate to, if you're available, the outcome isn't up to you. God's going to work through us. Like, I didn't know my outcome was maybe talking to you. I didn't know 5.5 months of, emotional upheaval and recentering on God and getting back and working out with my pastor in church, and like just only occasionally talking to God, about God with him, because just being there and seeing how he talked, that was just where I needed to be, and then all of a sudden going to you, and then all this stuff. If this isn't that reason, I'm not saying I'm going to be done, but I might be. I mean, I'm flying out to see my parents to drive a car back from Florida on the 8th. I don't freaking want to go to the airport because I'm a germaphobe as it is, and I'm going to be like, dude, I'm going to have to take Xanax and be like, talk to anybody, don't talk to anybody, and have a mask, and I'm freaking out and whatever. And who knows? Like, I that's reality. I might be done. Like, my time might be up. But I'm a better dad. I'm somewhat of a better husband. I'm a better Christian. I'm a better sober person. I'm a better lover of Kyle.
Kyle, Jeff loves you.
He's so good. He's like Donna. He just ignores me. But that's what I mean. Like, if everything I've been up to, obviously 29 and a half years to come up with the I'm done. I'm sure I've heard somebody say, I'm done. Now we can do this. But you, today, you weren't even fucking alive when it started, my journey. You saying, I'm done, and then God finishing it. Now we can start. And I underlined we, because we admitted we were powerless over alcohol. That's how I know my area expertise. My area expertise is being broken, but working on being a better version. Why do you like CrossFit? Because you're better than you were yesterday. And some of your posts, that's what I heard you say. When you talk to me, that's the message I got. I'm better than I was yesterday. That is the message of hope. And in AA, what are you supposed to share? Experience, strength, and hope. Son of a bitch. So that's all you got to share. You don't have to share perfection. You don't have to share the finished product. You don't have to share it all shined up. It's, and that's why, like, that's why I don't do interviews, because I'm not a polished interviewer. I didn't go to Specs Howard. I don't fucking know how to run my computer. I spent $55 on a new webcam because I was freaking out, because I went, where am I? Am I in a tunnel? Like, this is freaking me out. It's, and I literally have asked myself on the podcast or on the YouTube channel videos, I'm still not sure why I'm doing these, but I'm going to keep doing them because that's what I'm directed to do. But now, because I was in active surrender, I love that. I'm using that all over the place. I was in active surrender, which when I surrendered my addiction, I found healing. When I surrendered my selfishness, I found connectivity. When I surrendered my limited wants, I found fulfillment. Like, that's, it goes on. And so for you to say, when I said, I'm done, and you were like, yep, now we can start. I went, oh, mayonnaise. If we never have another conversation the rest of my life, which it would have to be short if that's going to happen.
Yeah, we're definitely having more conversations.
Yeah. Then that it gives me that, oh, so 29 and a half years, that makes sense now. That's why I was sober, because I finally admitted I'm done doing it my way. I'm done with my limitations. And then immediately the response is, that's all I was waiting for. Now we can start. And then the we gets bigger, because then he wants us to love, and he wants us to be, and it's like, whoa. So as soon as you started talking, Like maybe that's why I'm going to get freaky, but maybe that's why I did schooling for substance abuse counseling and for psychology and social work. And like, I have several degrees and licenses from the state and like all this stuff. Maybe that's why I was here, because if I had never gone to CrossFit, I would have never gone to CrossFit, and then I would have never done this. I would have never known about Brad, and I would have never met you. That's kind of funny. Or some people say coincidence, and so I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know the end product. That's not even the point. That's not why you work out. You don't work out like people say, oh, I'm gonna work out so I can make the CrossFit Games, and then I'm gonna work out so I'm gonna win. What is
bro, that breaks my heart.
But what does Matt Frazier and Tia Toomey do immediately? Immediately, they're like, basically, their coaches make them take a couple days off, which I'm sure they're probably buttholes that entire time because they're like angry the whole time, going, "I just need to work out," and then they're right back at it because they're trying to be better than they were. So the destination is irrelevant. The journey is the process. The journey is the goal. The journey is the act of surrender, but we can't start the journey until we do that. And then the journey stops, though, every time we grab that back. And it's pretty much simple. And I remember, weren't we at one of the Bible studies and you said we have a choice. We can do it out of fear or do it out of love. Didn't you have that conversation? Didn't you say that?
I think so.
I think that's what you said. So I'm not even saying anything new. Like I can't even add anything that was original from my brain. So that's what I'm saying. I think just having an understanding of like pray on it. I'm going to strongly support you to pray on it and everything, but I don't think God would have brought me here with this message this strongly to just be like, it's not, I don't feel the same as I did last time when I was just like, okay, let it go. I just don't, because it's just not, it's not.
Yeah. I mean, it's hitting me totally different, man. I think like you said it before though, I think there were some more things that needed to happen, before this moment. And so, man, yeah, I could literally just sit here and be like, yeah, dude, I'll pray on it. But like literally that's going to be on my heart when I talk to God next. And anytime I show up directly with something like that, he's usually pretty quick in responding. So I'm not going to be sitting on it for too long. But yeah, man, I'm probably going to, once we get done with this, I'm probably going to just like sew or something and just think and just, figure out exactly the step I'm going to take. It's literally probably just going to be me talking into my phone, and just expressing my heart. But and hey, like, that's cool.
Maybe even reach out to any of those people, even reach out to one of those people and just say, hey, I was thinking of doing this. Or, this was put on my heart. I want to do a podcast, but maybe I want to do, I want to do a Zoom. I want to coach some Zoom classes so that we stay connected with the group of people who I'm connected with. Because I'm not even pretty positive, confident that many of those people would be like, oh, that's awesome. Because we're like-minded people. And, and then maybe even some of the people who were a little nervous or scared to go into the gym, now they can do it from home. Like I did a Zoom workout and one person didn't even turn her camera on. And never said anything. And so, but one of the things I did is I sent her an email and I said, hey, thanks for being there today. I hope you did okay. And she never even responded. Yeah, she did. She said, thank you. I did. I had a good time. And I was sore for like 3 days. But once again, it's because the outcome is not up to us. God is so like, if we're his hands and feet, he knows where the hell he wants to go.
He knows.
And so, like I said, I think that's a great idea. That's something that somebody said to me. Just start. And and one of the things I started with, got a YouTube channel. I mean, you can have the YouTube channel. I don't even care. Like it's whatever. But I think I want to make sure, like I said, I want to make sure that even if it's all, not even all, but even if a part of it is for you to have not a diagram, but a book or a memoir of your relationship with God. Think about that. If you do a podcast, we're going to say once a week because I'm going to be super limited and not try to blow your mind. But you're not even doing what I'm doing every fucking day. But you're doing a podcast once a week. Sorry, I'm getting really excited because I'm cursing. You're getting a podcast once a week. So you have 52 podcasts. First of all, no matter what, in a year from now, if you weren't podcasting, you're going to be a different person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do podcast, you don't even know because that's one of those, oh man, I don't know what that looks like. Well, that's probably where I should be then.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, God, who knows? I don't know. I'm still doing it. I still talk to the box and I'm like, hello. And some of mine are now, like for 2 weeks, I kept thinking, I don't want to do this anymore because I just sit there and cry and seem like it's all sad. And I haven't gone back through them because I don't want to be the director. I just want to capture reality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so capture the journey. And I think that's one of the things is because you're aware of the journey, that really is so amazing. That's what people are missing. Because you hear people say exactly what you said. Well, when this is over, well, first of all, it's subjective to yours because when this is over, not even getting crazy political, but just going by what Trump says. All right, summertime, great. Oh, there's a second wave and now another 60,000 people are dying. Even if it doesn't directly affect me, I'm not the same person I was 6 weeks ago. And that is a good thing. We shouldn't be the same person we were yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that is you have all these people who are like, I told you I'm that thing on the 12th I related to you about God woke me up at 2 a.m. because he doesn't have a clock, which is another sense of humor. And because I sit down to pee so I don't wake up. And I'm sitting there and all of a sudden he said, you need to connect frontline healthcare workers with volunteers. I literally opened my eyes like, well, that's a lot.
For this 2 a.m. peak.
Yeah, for this 2 a.m. pee, I went, well, I guess I'm not tired now, am I? and so, but it was the active surrender of, I don't know how that's going to look. Okay, here we go. And I felt like it stalled because I haven't gone anywhere except now I spoke to you today and, and random people who I reached out to after our kids were in first grade together.
Yeah.
She reached back out to me and I've forgotten she was sober for 20 years. And she's like,
oh my
start it
gosh.
like a discussion board. Maybe that's what it's a Facebook page, like a discussion board.
That's a good idea.
I went, holy crap. Okay. I didn't know.
Done.
Oh, that's weird. Like I haven't started it because I'm still like, it's one of those things. It's not exact yet, but like she started something and she's doing what you do. She's got like 22,000, 23,000. She's created Flag. I don't remember, front lines against something, or I don't remember what it is, but they collect money. They get donations, go to local businesses, get foods, and deliver it to frontline people. Right?
Heck yeah. It's the dopest. I've been seeing so many people doing it, and I'm just so grateful that that's what's happening. Like I called Beaumont to set up the last drop I did, and they literally have like a special group that's coordinating all of these donations because they're getting so many donations and so many people are helping out that they literally need to like make sure that units aren't getting double, meals.
They had to create something. They created jobs. So the demand, the supply was so high, they had to create more demand. And so I love that. And that's what like my psychological thing is just, doing conversations like this. If somebody's available and they're leaving work and they talk to somebody for 15, 20 minutes or text them or video them on their way to work or just as a decompression, they're going to be different. Right? That's all we're trying to do is create availability for the potential for somebody to have growth, to be different, to do whatever. The outcome's not important, right? And that's all I'm trying to do. So because and now that makes sense just right this second. That makes sense on why that part was given to me because that's what I'm good at. I don't think it's up to me to how it's going to look, and it's not up to me necessarily how it's going to be specifically because That's not my jam. My jam is, let's get people who are good at this. Let's get people who are good at this. Let's get people who are good at this. Would I love to be the person who said, I created an app? Yeah, I would love that, because I'd be like, so guess why probably I'm not being able to create an app? Because of that exact reason. Because otherwise it gets boastful and it ego, easing God out. That's all it does. And so when I get somebody in that right position, all of a sudden I'm like, that's amazing. And I'm just grateful and blessed and feel God's presence. And it's not because I'm so dope. It's not. It's like, man, I'm so grateful that I went through everything I went through. It kind of makes sense. It's like, yeah, it was worth it. It was worth it. You know, and it's that fulfillment of God's promises. He promises this all the time. It's like, no, it's going to be worth it. Like, you can limit it if you want, or we can do this, and you're going to be like, what? So, you know, I think I'm going to stop recording, because once again, I don't want to I would go on forever because I love this. But it's not up to me. I want you to be able to do all your other stuff.
Well, before we finish recording, let's do a quick prayer or something, and then we can just kind of close out with that. And
I would love it.
And then we'll kind of conclude our conversation.
And then I'm gonna hit up your brother too. I'm gonna hit up your brother for a minute too.
Yeah, no, let's we'll set that up after. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Lord Jesus, thank you so much for this conversation today, and for bringing Jeff not only into my life, but into the lives of the Maven community. I'm so in awe of the way that you're working through his life, and I'm just so grateful I get to be a part of it. And I'm so grateful that you used him to really touch my heart today. And Jesus, I just pray that you continue to push me in the direction you want me to go. I pray that you continue to use Jeff in the way that you need him. And I pray that you continue to offer him the guidance and the direction that I know his spirit so desperately craves. And I pray that you continue to shed light on where you want me to go to. I don't know what this is going to look like, Jesus, but I know in your hands it's going to be great. And I don't know where I'm going to go, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but as long as you're behind it, that's all I need. And so, Jesus, I'm just so grateful and thankful today. And I just pray that you continue to be with all the people that are working on the front lines. I pray that you continue to watch over the hospitals. You know, I can't get the vision out of my head that you gave me at Beaumont when you showed me you are in your flow state. This is your jam. This is you. And we get to see how all of this plays out. And God, I'm so grateful for the way that you're making this all happen, and the way that you're bringing people to you, and the way that you're touching people's lives, and the way that you're flexing. God, this is you flexing. And I'm just so grateful I get to be alive in 2020 during this crazy pandemic, because it's not only touching my heart, but it's touching so many more hearts that weren't even ready for you, but now they are. And so, Jesus, just keep doing what you're doing. And I pray that you give us the strength and the confidence to walk in the steps that you give. And so to you, Jesus, in your mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Confidence. That is such a big word. Yeah. And
need that.
and that's perfect. I'm going to end there. Hold on.